You want to change your life? Don't start with your job. Don't start with the people around you. Don't even start with the circumstances you're stuck in. Start with the one thing you can control: yourself. See, most people are busy pointing fingers. If my boss wasn't so toxic, if my parents were more supportive, if the economy was better. Stop. That's the language of someone giving away power. And the truth is, no one's coming to save you. But here's the good news. You already have what it takes to save yourself. And it starts the moment you decide to work on you. Working on yourself doesn't mean just reading a few motivational quotes or watching a video that hypes you up for a few hours. That's surface level. I'm talking about going deep, getting honest about your habits, your patterns, your limiting beliefs. Because if you don't fix the root, you'll keep living the same year over and over, calling it a life. You want better health? Upgrade your discipline. You want better relationships? Heal the parts of you that keep choosing chaos. You want more income? Raise your value, learn more, solve bigger problems. Your results are a mirror. They reflect the work you've done on the inside. Growth is not comfortable. Let's get that straight. It's not supposed to be. That's why most people avoid it. They'd rather numb the discomfort with distraction than face the parts of themselves that need work. But here's the truth. Pain is a signal, not a sentence. It's feedback. It's telling you exactly where the breakthrough is waiting. And if you're willing to listen, really listen, then that pain becomes fuel. You want to level up? Then raise your standards. Not just what you hope for, but what you accept. Because every time you tolerate procrastination, you reinforce weakness. Every time you allow excuses, you delay your destiny. Change happens the moment you say, enough. I'm not available for this version of me anymore. Now let's talk identity. Because this is the game changer. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to the level of your identity. If you still see yourself as someone who's lazy, someone who always fails, someone who never finishes what they start, you'll keep acting like it. You'll sabotage your wins. You'll pull yourself back every time you start gaining momentum. Change who you believe you are, and your behavior will follow, always. You've got to stop being addicted to motivation and start becoming obsessed with mastery. Growth doesn't come from what you know, it comes from what you do with what you know. The world doesn't reward potential, it rewards execution. So here's the challenge. For the next 90 days, forget the world. Forget the followers, the likes, the validation. Wake up every day and ask yourself, who do I need to become today? And then become it. Do the hard things, build the habits, break the patterns. That's how you change your life. Because when you finally work on yourself, really work on yourself, you stop chasing things, you start attracting them. You become someone who doesn't beg for opportunity because opportunity looks for you. You become the kind of person people trust, admire, follow, and partner with, not because you said the right thing, but because you are the right person. This is your wake-up call. This is your turning point. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Now go do the work. Everything you want in life, success, fulfillment, peace, wealth, respect, it all begins with one thing: control over yourself. Before you can master your craft, your business, your relationships, or your life, you've got to master the person behind it all. That's you. You are the engine. You are the root of every result. And if you don't have self-mastery, you will forever be at the mercy of your emotions, your distractions, your impulses, and your environment. That's a dangerous way to live. Because in a world that constantly pulls your attention, tempts your weaknesses, and feeds your doubts, only those who command themselves will ever rise above average. People love to chase shortcuts, better strategies, new hacks, magic formulas. But the truth is, strategy is secondary. If you don't have the emotional discipline to execute consistently, to stay calm under pressure, to push through when it's hard, then no strategy will save you. Self-mastery is what keeps you showing up on the days you don't feel like it. It's what makes you work when everyone else is resting. It's what makes you humble enough to learn, patient enough to grow, and focused enough to win. Without that internal control, all the external effort will collapse the moment resistance shows up. Look at the people who lead in any area of life. The entrepreneurs who build empires, the athletes who break records, the leaders who inspire nations. These aren't people who got lucky. These are people who mastered themselves. They trained their focus, tamed their emotions, silenced their excuses. They didn't let their fear run the show. They didn't let their feelings dictate their future. They took full ownership, not just of what they do, but of how they think, how they speak, how they respond. That's real power. Not the kind that shouts, but the kind that endures, that shows up over and over again without needing permission or applause. You have to train yourself to become mentally strong. That means doing things you don't want to do. That means waking up early when your body says sleep. That means showing up with excellence even when no one is watching. That means controlling your tongue when anger rises. That means staying grounded when anxiety whispers chaos. Self-mastery is the art of leading yourself no matter what the conditions are. It's about consistency, not convenience. It's about doing what's right, not what's easy. It's about acting with intention, not reacting out of habit. And here's the truth no one wants to hear. It's not sexy. It's not glamorous. It's repetition. It's structure. It's self-discipline. It's boring to the undisciplined and powerful to the focused. While most people search for external motivation, the masters build internal standards. And those standards are non-negotiable. They don't need outside validation. They don't wait until the mood is right. They simply decide who they want to be. And they live like it every single day. If you want to rise in life, if you want to build something that lasts, if you want to feel unshakable no matter what storm comes, then don't just work on your goals. Work on the person chasing them. Because your life will never outperform the standards you set for yourself. Master the inner game, and the outer results will follow. Always. Your life at this moment is a direct reflection of what you've settled for, what you've allowed, and what you've expected from yourself. It's not about what you say you want, it's about what you tolerate. Your standards are not what you post on social media. They're not what you tell others you believe. Your standards are revealed by your habits, your environment, your thoughts when no one's watching, and the behavior you accept from yourself and others. So, most people don't lack potential, they lack higher standards. And when your standards are low, life reflects that back to you. Low energy, low effort, low quality outcomes. Think about it. If someone says they want to be healthy, but constantly skips workouts, eats junk food daily, and gets 4 hours of sleep, it's not a motivation issue, it's a standards issue. They've decided, consciously or unconsciously, that feeling comfortable in the moment is more important than being healthy for life. That's the invisible line that determines everything. What you're willing to accept versus what you refuse to tolerate. And the truth is, when you raise your standards, truly raise them, everything begins to shift. You start walking differently. You talk with more clarity. You stop letting people treat you like an option. You stop treating your own goals like suggestions. You can't change your reality by just wanting more. You change it by refusing to settle for less. People say, I wish I had a better relationship, but keep accepting disrespect. They say, I want financial freedom, but keep wasting hours scrolling, binge watching, or making excuses. What they really mean is, I wish life would hand me a better situation without me having to change who I am, but life doesn't work that way. Life responds to what you demand of yourself. Not what you hope for, not what you dream about, but what you require as your minimum level of living. Start asking, what else can I do? Where can I be better? What am I still tolerating that I need to eliminate? Because everything in your life that you've outgrown, but still allow, is costing you. Time, peace, energy, potential. And most of the time, the real battle isn't against the outside world. It's against the version of you that's okay with just getting by. Look at every area of your life, your health, your mindset, your environment, your relationships, your routines. If something's not working, it's not about trying harder. It's about raising your standards. Ask yourself, what am I currently tolerating that no longer serves me? Where am I showing up at 70% and calling it effort? What story am I still telling myself that's keeping me small? These questions don't just give you insight, they give you leverage. Because once you raise your standards, your behavior naturally changes. You no longer need constant motivation. You don't need to be pushed. You pull yourself forward because your new identity won't allow anything less. The power is in the decision. The decision to say, this is not good enough anymore. Not from a place of frustration or anger, but from strength, from the deep, unshakable belief that you're made for more and that you're done settling for less. Once you lock into that mindset, life starts to meet you at the level of your new standards. Opportunities appear. People treat you differently. You move differently. And it all starts with one shift, deciding what you're no longer available for. Because the second you raise your standards, your life has no choice but to rise with them. Most people treat growth like a seasonal event. They get inspired once in a while, maybe after a failure, a breakup, or a powerful video. And for a few days, they're fired up. They write down their goals, promise themselves they'll change, and commit to doing better. But then life gets busy again. The fire fades, the urgency slips, and they fall right back into the same routines that got them stuck in the first place. The truth is, growth isn't a mood. It's not a weekend seminar or a motivational high. Real lasting growth is a daily decision. It's a commitment to improvement when it's hard, when it's boring, and when no one else is watching. You don't become stronger just because you want to. You become stronger because you consistently choose to lean into discomfort. You consistently choose discipline over distraction. You consistently choose progress over perfection. Growth happens in the small moments. When you decide to read instead of scroll. When you show up for that workout even though you're tired. When you choose patience in an argument. When you say no to what drains you. It's not about massive change overnight. It's about stacking small wins every single day until the compound effect kicks in and your entire life begins to shift. Think of the people you admire, the ones who seem unshakable, confident, focused, and effective. They didn't get there by accident. They got there because they built their lives on consistent daily disciplines. They didn't wait for the perfect day to grow. They created structure that made growth inevitable. They didn't rely on feeling motivated every day. They built systems that forced them to act even when they didn't feel like it. Growth is a daily choice that eventually becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, it becomes your identity. And that's the key. When you choose growth daily, you begin to shift who you believe you are. You stop seeing yourself as someone who quits, someone who's stuck, someone who's not enough. Instead, you start seeing yourself as someone who keeps showing up, someone who is becoming more, someone who doesn't wait for life to get better, but gets better for life. That identity becomes a magnet. It pulls you toward better choices. It pushes you away from excuses. It rewires the way you think and act. But none of that happens unless you decide every day to grow. There's no arrival point. You don't make it and then stop growing. You don't become great and then coast. The moment you stop choosing growth, you start sliding backwards. Life doesn't stay still. You're either expanding or shrinking, evolving or regressing. Growth must be treated like oxygen. It's not optional. The people who transform their lives understand this. They wake up with intention. They treat each day like a chance to sharpen their skills, challenge their limits, clean their mindset, and become someone better than they were yesterday. But here's the part most ignore. Daily growth isn't always exciting. It's often quiet, unseen, uncelebrated. It's you sitting with your journal, confronting your thoughts. It's you saying no to habits that once felt like comfort. It's you choosing to show up for the process long after the mood has passed. And it's in that quiet repetition that power is built. Anyone can make a decision once. Few can repeat that decision daily. And that's where the difference is made. So if you truly want to grow, stop asking yourself how fast you can change. Ask yourself how consistently you're willing to commit. Because real growth doesn't come from the speed of your actions. It comes from the consistency of your choices. Every day, you're either reinforcing the old or building the new. You don't need more inspiration. You need more repetition. That's how you transform. Every action you take, every decision you make, and every habit you build is tied to one thing, your identity, who you believe you are. Not who you say you want to be, but who you've convinced yourself you already are deep down. This is why people struggle to change, not because they lack the strategy or the talent or even the time. They struggle because they're trying to change their behavior while still holding on to the same old identity. They try to take new actions while still seeing themselves through the lens of their past failures. But here's the truth. You will never consistently act in a way that contradicts who you believe you are. Your identity sets the ceiling. If you want lasting transformation, you must upgrade your self-image before anything else. Most people try to fix their life by starting on the surface. They set new goals, build new plans, buy new tools. But if deep inside, they still see themselves as someone who always gives up, or someone who isn't good enough, or someone who doesn't deserve success, that identity will override everything. Your mind is hardwired to stay consistent with who you think you are. So if you believe you're lazy, you'll keep choosing comfort over commitment. If you believe you're broken, you'll subconsciously sabotage anything that feels whole. If you believe you're average, you'll keep pulling back every time you start to rise. You have to break that cycle. You have to rewrite that internal story. Because the moment you shift your identity, your behavior starts to align with your new self-image. You no longer try to force discipline, you act with discipline because you now believe you're the kind of person who follows through. You no longer fake confidence, you speak with conviction because you now see yourself as someone with something valuable to say. The behavior isn't fake anymore. It's natural. It's an expression of who you now believe you are. Think about how powerful that is. When you build a new identity, you don't have to rely on motivation. You don't have to force change. It starts to flow because your actions and beliefs are in alignment. That's the key most people miss. They try to build new habits while carrying old identities. That's why it feels so hard. It's like trying to run with chains around your ankles. The weight isn't in the habit. It's in the story you're still telling yourself. If you keep saying, I've always been this way, or this is just who I am, then don't be surprised when nothing changes. That language is not harmless. It reinforces a version of you that no longer fits where you want to go. You want to change your life? Start by asking a better question. Who do I need to become to create the results I want? Not just what do I need to do, but who do I need to be? That question will take you further than any to-do list. Because once you define the identity of the person who already has the life you want, you can reverse engineer your actions. You begin to act, think, and speak in alignment with that version of yourself. Over time, those repeated choices etch a new identity into your nervous system. And that identity becomes your reality. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to the level of your beliefs. Upgrade your identity and your entire life recalibrates. This isn't about pretending or faking it. This is about stepping into who you are always capable of becoming. The world doesn't change when you hit a goal. The world changes when you change. That shift begins not in your behavior, but in your belief about who you are. So if you're ready for a new life, stop trying to do more. Start becoming more. Because who you are is what drives what you do. And what you do is what shapes everything. Most people misunderstand pain. They think it's punishment. They think it means they're broken, weak, or cursed. But pain isn't here to destroy you. It's here to teach you. It's a signal, a messenger, a spotlight pointing towards something that needs attention, something you've been avoiding, suppressing, or running from. Whether it's emotional pain, mental exhaustion, heartbreak, failure, rejection, whatever form it takes, pain always shows up with a purpose. And that purpose isn't to stop you, it's to grow you. But here's the problem. Most people try to numb it. They run from it, cover it up with distractions, food, entertainment, noise, busyness. They avoid the silence because they're afraid of what it will reveal. They don't want to sit with the pain long enough to understand it. But what you don't face, you can't fix. If you keep dodging the discomfort, you'll keep repeating the same cycles. Different situations, same suffering, until one day you stop and ask, why does this keep happening to me? And the answer is simple, because pain has been knocking and you keep ignoring the door. Pain isn't a life sentence. It's a wake-up call. It's telling you where your boundaries have been violated. It's showing you where your growth is being demanded. It's exposing the lies you've been believing about yourself. It's highlighting the habits that are destroying your progress. And the moment you stop judging it and start listening to it, everything begins to shift. You realize it wasn't here to break you. It was here to break what's been holding you back. Some of your greatest breakthroughs will come through your greatest pain. Not because pain is magical, but because it forces you to pay attention. It shakes you out of autopilot. It forces you to confront what's real. And it builds something that success alone can't. Resilience. That's what pain gives you if you let it do its work. You get stronger, wiser, more grounded, more self-awareness. You learn to breathe through pressure. You learn that your emotions don't own you. You learn to move forward even with the weight of sorrow on your back. That's not weakness, that's power. See, pain only becomes a prison when you make it your identity. When you start saying, this is just how life is for me. When you wear your wounds like labels instead of lessons. That's when pain stops being a teacher and becomes a trap. But you don't have to live there. You're allowed to acknowledge your pain without becoming it. You're allowed to feel what hurt you without building your home in it. You're allowed to rise, not in spite of the pain, but because of it. The shift happens when you stop asking, why me, and start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That question gives you power. That question turns the pain into fuel. It gives meaning to the suffering. And when pain has meaning, it becomes bearable. Not only bearable, but transformative. Because now, instead of being a victim of your pain, you become a student of it. And eventually, you become the teacher, the one who helps others heal from what once almost destroyed you. You can't control when pain shows up, but you can control what you do with it. You can allow it to sharpen you instead of shatter you. You can use it to build something unshakable inside you. That's what strong people do. They take the very thing that should have broken them and turn it into the very thing that builds them. So the next time pain shows up, don't run, don't numb, don't hide. Lean in, listen closely. It's not the end. It's the beginning of something bigger. If you're willing to receive the message. People talk a lot about what they want. They want success, respect, loyalty, love, abundance, peace. They make vision boards, write goals, repeat affirmations. But here's the truth no one likes to hear. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. The energy you carry, the habits you live by, the beliefs you embody, that's what shapes your reality. If your life feels chaotic, look at the energy you're putting into the world. If your relationships feel toxic, look at what parts of you still invite dysfunction. If you keep experiencing setbacks, ask yourself if your mindset is built on fear or faith. It's not about blame, it's about responsibility. Because when you take responsibility for what you attract, you finally gain the power to change it. Wanting more isn't enough. You can want a healthy relationship, but if you haven't healed the wounds that sabotage trust, you'll keep repeating the same patterns. You can want financial success, but if you still live with a scarcity mindset and avoid discipline, that money won't stay. You can want peace, but if you constantly surround yourself with chaos, drama, and distraction, you won't be able to hold peace even when it finds you. The outside world reflects the inner world. That's the law. And until you shift who you are at the core, your circumstances will just mirror the current version of you. This is where people get stuck. They think changing their environment, their job, their relationship, their location will change their life. And sometimes it creates a short-term effect. But the old self shows up again because you didn't evolve, you escaped. And what you don't transform, you will eventually attract again. So instead of asking how to get more, start asking how to become more. If you want to attract loyalty, be loyal. If you want to attract high quality people, be high quality yourself. If you want to attract peace, become someone who protects their peace, who sets boundaries, who chooses presence over noise. That's when the shift happens, not when the world gives you something different, but when you show up as someone new. Becoming the person who attracts better doesn't mean faking confidence or pretending to be someone you're not. It means becoming deeply aligned with your highest self. It means showing up with integrity even when no one's watching. It means holding yourself to a higher standard even if no one else around you does. Because when you level up your energy, your habits, and your thinking, the things that once drained you start falling away. The people who once fit into your life naturally drift out. And that's not loss, it's alignment. Because as you elevate, what's not aligned can't stay. And what is meant for the version of you you're becoming begins to find you effortlessly. You don't have to chase everything. In fact, when you become the kind of person who truly values growth, discipline, kindness, and purpose, the right things start chasing you. The right opportunities, the right relationships, the right moments, they begin to appear not by chance, but because you've become magnetic to them. That's the difference between hoping for change and becoming the change. When you shift who you are, the world doesn't just respond, it adjusts. It starts to mirror the version of you that you've decided to step into. So if you're not attracting what you want, stop looking outward, go inward. Who are you being? What energy are you putting out? What patterns are you still holding on to? What identity are you still carrying that no longer serves your future? Because when you do the work on yourself, consistently, intentionally, relentlessly, you won't have to force anything. You'll simply rise into alignment. And from that place, life begins to meet you at your level, not your wish list. The work is not in chasing, the work is in becoming. And once you truly become, you don't chase, you attract.